I think there are some truly hateful people, but I think that there are some people who are just ignorant.
Yeah, I mean, also a lot of, I would even argue to say that most hate is actually fear disguised as hate.
Ooh.
Um, a lot of it stems from fear. They fear the true nature of love and acceptance, and they fear all kinds of things. They fear what people think. They fear.
So feel me when I bring it, sing it loud. I'm from the loot and I'm proud. Run a mile for the cause. I'm right.
Hi, guys. It's your girl Nechama, your favorite Jew from the Lou. Welcome back to my podcast. And today, I'm so excited to have one of my oldest friends on the show,
I'm
Shippy.
not that old.
Not old in
Okay, I'm not
age.
even 30 yet, first of all.
We're not old in age, but like of all my friends, the only friend who, well, she hasn't been on here yet. I don't know if she ever will, but Tammy's the only other friend besides for you who I've known this long because we've been friends
Really?
since we were 8 years old.
That's Well, I think you were 7 and I was 8 when we started being friends.
Because it was going into second
I was
grade.
going into second grade and I was definitely 8 years old at that time.
Realize that's 21 years.
No,
Yeah.
no, no, it's like 5 years. What?
21
No.
years.
God
21
dang.
years that we've been friends. And the thing about me, any of my friends who are listening to this, you know this is a fact about me. Um, I am a low maintenance friend, which means that we could not talk for years, but you will always have a special place in my heart. And
Yeah,
so Shifra moved when we were going into high school. She went out of town for high school.
yeah.
But like, our friendship is so special to me. I have so many like vivid memories. But like, one of the most special ones was I was so excited to go to high school. I was always the type that set up my locker like 3 weeks ahead of time. And like, I had like the mini chandeliers in my locker. Like, it was always so decorated. And on the first day of high school, I found a little note that you had left me. Do you remember doing this?
No,
You
where did I leave
snuck
you a
in
note?
early. And by the way, I used to get to school an hour early because that's how anal I was. You snuck in earlier than that. Like you had a 5 a.m. flight or something. You snuck in early, dropped off a handwritten. I still have
I
it.
snuck into that building?
Yeah.
It wasn't locked?
Well, you probably knew the lock. Everyone.
That's true. That's true, yeah. Forgot that everyone knew it.
Like, yeah, you snuck into the building because, to be fair, like it was the basement of our synagogue or our shul. And I still have that note. I still
Really?
do. It's in I have this big box of like handwritten notes from friends over the years. And I don't keep like every single little love note we've written to each other, but like certain ones that are like
Yeah.
really memorable.
Mm.
It was the sweetest thing. You're like, I'm so sorry that we don't get to continue going on to school together, but I'm so proud of you.
Man.
It was really sweet.
I I mean, I remember like kind of doing stuff like that, and I did it with when you were graduating high school. I think I got everyone like a little gift. Um, but I really was gonna miss everyone. I just couldn't go to that school.
I mean, I shouldn't have gone to that school.
You told me if I didn't go to that school, my soul would suffer. I
I
don't think you,
said that?
I don't think you said it in those words,
It sounds like something I would say.
but you definitely said that it would be bad for me if I went to a different school.
Oh my God. Okay, can we just explain for a moment that who I am today?
Yeah, no, you were in a totally different place,
I
and
was very black and white. I
yeah,
was very religious, but not in a way that I feel like is a good way to describe the religious community. I was like the bad version, if that makes sense. I don't think I was a bad person. I just
you were,
really believe that there was one way to be a good Jew. And if you weren't on
yeah.
that level, I was like, I'd be the type where I'm like, I'm praying for your soul
I think you
kind of
just
thing.
you didn't know any different because it's so pushed on you that you have to like do things a certain way, and there's so many like rules with Judaism that we grew up with that like
I can't believe
you
I said
had to
that.
do things a certain way. So it was just like a mindset, and it wasn't. I don't blame you for saying that at all, because
Thank
like,
you.
I knew where you were coming from, and at the time, like, I kind of laughed it off. I'm like, because I knew in my head, like, if I go to the school,
It
it
would be
would
the worst thing for you.
be the absolute worst thing for me. I might not be
Yeah.
here today.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, honestly, to tell you the honest truth,
yeah.
my brother and sister-in-law said that they were surprised that I stayed religious as long as I did because I had such an intense personality, and the school that I went to was so intense that we short-circuited each other. So, like, the fact that there was any, like, remnants of any religious desire in me is truly such a miracle.
So I have a question. When you started becoming not as religious, did that start in high school or?
No, it did not. It actually didn't start till
Okay.
I was 23.
So how did that?
What was my journey?
Yeah, how did that go?
Well, the truth is, I stayed religious a lot longer, and this is such a me thing, by the way, when you hear why. I did not go to seminary. A lot of girls in their gap year after high school, before they start college, will go and study Judaic study in Israel for a
Mhm.
year, and I did not go. That's another discussion for another time. But I did not go, and I went straight to college, and a lot of people were like concerned that I wouldn't be as religious because I didn't go to seminary. Kind of like I was concerned for you that you didn't go. And I was like, just because people said I wasn't going to be religious, I was the most religious because you don't tell
You
me.
do have Irish blood in you, don't you?
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Takes one to
Oh,
know one.
yeah. Remember we used to wear like the green shirts at Terror Prep on St. Patrick's Day?
Like no one else could wear that.
Yeah, because you're not Irish. We're Irish. Oh my God. Like, this is the best. Like, we've
Yes.
known each other since we were so little, and there's like so many different seasons of our life that we've been in. Like, even just seeing you today, like, I don't remember. It's been years. It's been years since we've seen each other in person. And it's
Many,
just like
many
the
years.
minute I saw you, my heart was just like, oh my God, Shiffy. Like, it's just
The gang's back.
the gang's back. Let's go. Like, there's something so special, I think, about childhood friends. Like,
I
sometimes
know.
life naturally takes you apart and you get caught up in your day to day, but then like you
Mm.
see each other again and it's just like what happened that got me off my religious journey. It's so hard to say because there's never like one thing.
But yeah, but like, I guess my question more is like, what was going on around that time? What were some decisions that you were making that you wouldn't have made
Well, to be
previously?
fair, somewhere between high school and 23, I really started to get very curious about being less religious. And like some of the things that I talk about are so tiny and nuanced, but like let's say wearing like flip-flops in the summer or not wearing stockings or wearing shorter skirts or wearing short sleeves, like things that make me technically modern Orthodox,
Yeah.
not necessarily not religious, but considering the standard that I had for myself, that was like
Yeah.
so what happened was I I was just always wanting to, but I also was such a romantic and wanted to find my Prince Charming. And it was kind of pushed down my throat that if you want the best guy, you need to be the best girl.
Yeah, no, I've heard that.
And I took it to heart. And I worked so hard and I did not do the typical things that a lot of teenagers do when they try to explore. Like I did not deviate at all. I was such a golden girl. And the problem with that is that somewhere along the line it stopped being because it was my values and because it's what I wanted and it started to be because I was trying to impress everyone around me.
Mm.
So that was part of it. When I also, my grandmother got married at 21. My mom and both my sister-in-laws were 22 when they got married. So in my head, by 22 at the very least, I would be
It's a
engaged.
baby.
It is a baby, but I started dating when I was 19 for marriage, very intentionally.
Wow.
And so 22 came and went, and I was nowhere near close to getting married.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, I was like, so I've been doing all this for what? For what? For this man who's not here. I'm not happy. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And also, my first job out of college, I was working in Chesterfield.
Okay.
For those of you who aren't in the St. Louis area, that's like 15 minutes from where I lived. So in a weird way, I had two worlds. I had my Orthodox world here in University City, and I had the new Nechama, who was starting to
The
explore
different
the
Nechama.
different Nechama, the Nechama who was starting to wear shorter skirts and who didn't wear
Oh,
stockings in the summer and who may or may not have kept kosher.
Nechama 2.0. All right. All
Nechama
right.
2.0. Like it just no one was I always felt so watched. Whether or not it
Yeah.
was as serious as I felt, people kind of are in each other's business in a small
Yeah. That's,
community.
that I feel that too in St. Louis.
And so like living that life in Chesterfield, I got to explore without anyone watching me.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and I was working at a different company, but because we were commercial real estate, we were considered essential workers. Don't ask. I don't know how they managed to get
Just
that.
buying houses. What?
It's commercial, so it's like offices, and so because
Who was going to work?
it was property managers who still had to manage property, so they somehow got like that everyone got to come into work. Like I remember even having a letter to show police officers if I got pulled over, which never happened
I
because
was
it's
gonna say, did
Missouri.
police like pull
No,
people
but
over?
it was a
That's
weird
not.
time. It was a weird time, you know?
Yeah.
You didn't know
Yeah.
what to
Yeah.
expect.
Yeah.
And so I really got some freedom because no one was leaving their houses. And so, shoot, I went blonde. I it was new me. I was leaving the old me behind and I was exploring and I found I was really slow to try it and anything different because I
Right.
was like, as a girl, I knew that my reputation was harder to get back and probably couldn't get back at all if I messed it up too much.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, is this just a phase? Do I just need to let out some steam? Or am I really kind of changing gears religiously here? And lo and behold, the more I did, the happier I became.
How
And
about that?
it's wild. I still remember so many of like the firsts of things that I did, which I'm not going to talk about publicly. I'll tell you later. But it's just, the other thing is my dad got dementia. He was diagnosed when I was 23. He's always been older. He was 50 when I was born. When I was 12, he had heart issues and he always had diabetes. But like when I was 20, he was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer. And that was really scary. Somehow he managed to survive that. And then when I was 23, he had a stroke in my arms.
In your
In
arm?
my arms. Thank God I watched Grey's Anatomy because I knew what to do.
Okay, I need to catch up on Grey's Anatomy. I'm only in season 4.
Yeah. But like, um, you know, I also kind of felt that I had a little bit of a, oh, nothing was going through stuff. Her dad has dementia. And it's like, no, I just don't want to be religious. But like, sure. Yeah, it's real hard. It's
That's
so
why.
trauma. And it's like, I don't know. I'm just such a
Mm.
non-bullshitter. I've always been that way.
Oh yeah.
But the way I am right now is like maybe I should probably work on this. I don't have patience for people and their trauma because we all have trauma.
But that's kind of good in a way. Like you don't get swallowed up in it, and that's really, really wholesome.
Thanks. Thanks. I'm glad you say that. I just for a second there I wasn't sure if I had a heart. Like I care about you until like you start pulling me into your drama and then it's like
Yeah.
I will assess. If you've been in my life for a long period of time, you might get more of my consideration, perhaps.
That doesn't mean you don't have a heart. Like that just means
But,
that
you know,
you have healthy boundaries. Like that's a good
I
thing.
do because I'll tell you something like if I have known you for less than a year and you start pulling some weird drama on me, when I tell you that I will cut you off so fast that you don't exist,
Yeah.
I don't have patience. I do not have time. And quite frankly, I don't care. And this is just my little
That's
platform for
good.
a second. I think we live in a generation of people who are in therapy and who have not solved their issues. They just have a higher vocabulary and how to express their issues.
I mean, if you let people, they'll drag you way down, and you don't let that, and that's a skill. Like
I
I'm not
guess.
gonna lie, that's a skill that not everyone has.
I guess. I'm not saying it hasn't almost happened, you know. But there's always a certain point where I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's affecting my energy, and it's like it's not like
yeah.
I don't have my own stuff that I'm going through.
Right.
So I quite literally am at a point where I can't handle what I'm going through and your stuff too.
Yeah,
So I'm very discerning. If I'm at a point in my life and you are not helping to build me, I don't have time for you.
that's why you're gonna do great things in life.
Aw,
And also,
thanks.
like, protect your energy.
My end so
Protect your
big.
energy.
It's so big. But speaking of protecting your energy, like I don't remember saying that to you, and I'm so glad that you're you and you just kind of laughed me off. And I think that's
No,
why our
I
friendship
knew you were in
works.
that place. I'm like, you're not gonna be I knew that you were not gonna be in that place forever because I've
Yeah,
known you,
right.
and I know how you get. Um, so I was just like, yeah, yeah, okay, okay, Nechama, like,
I
I'm
feel
just
like
gonna
that's
do
the
my
best
thing.
way to handle me.
Exactly. I'm
Do you
just
know, I
like,
had a trainer, one of my first personal trainers, where, I'd gone blonde. And I was like, I think I want to dye my hair pink, like light pink. Fun. He was like, yeah, go for it. And then 2 days later, I'm like, I changed my mind. He's like, it's probably for the best.
you know what? I actually did dye my hair pink
Really?
and red and blue and purple
I
and
think I
teal.
vaguely remember that the purple was really cool on you.
I had like 6 or 7 different colors within a year.
Oh wow. You know what? I went through that too, but I did more natural hair colors
Yeah.
because I was trying to find myself.
Yeah.
And I
Me
wanted to
too.
leave the childhood me behind. Like that's why I got
Mhm.
and part of the reason why I chose the look that I chose in the end is because I have a very intense, strong personality. It's chilled a lot, but it's still there. I'm very passionate. And so I felt that by wearing contacts and having blonde hair, it kind of chilled me out. So I didn't look as harsh.
Like contacts. What kind of
Contact
contact?
lenses, like instead of
Oh,
glasses.
instead of glasses. I thought you for some reason I thought you
Because
meant
if
like
I was still a brunette,
eye changing,
oh no, no,
color
no.
changing.
No, these are my eyes. I actually really do like my eyes. I
Yeah.
have hazel eyes.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, wait, why
But
would
like
you wear contacts?
with glasses and with brown hair, I just felt like it was a more serious
Yeah.
demeanor. And so it was a lot.
Mhm.
But I have to ask because I did ask you this before we went on air and you gave me permission to talk about it. I want to talk about the fact that we both started out life Orthodox and you have come out.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. And I was actually one of the first people you came out to outside of your parents. I don't know if you remember that.
Maybe
At 18, 19.
maybe yeah, you were one of the first people that I completely came out to. Um, before I realized that I do not like men at all, I came out to a lot of people as pansexual,
Okay.
which is just like kind of just attracted to anyone because I was really didn't want to be gay for a long time.
It's hard when you grow up Orthodox.
Yeah, because I'm like, maybe there's a chance that I could be attracted to a man. It would just be easier.
Right,
And
because if you're bi, you could be like, yeah, I find women attractive, but I could find a husband to settle down with.
yeah, and like I did want that, like at the time, not now. But I did want that at the time. I did want to like find a man, get married, and have some kids.
Yeah.
Um, so I came out as pants, and I did like men, but I was pretending I liked them more than friends. So that was a
And I
mistake.
bought it totally. Because you told me see, can I tell you? I I was, I may have been one of the first people you officially came all the way out to. But when I tell you that I was so dumb, first of all, can I be open and
Sure.
say
Yes, please.
that I didn't think being gay was real?
How do you know? Okay, first of all, how did you think it was like?
Because I grew up in such a religious bubble. So obviously we learned in the Bible that it exists back in the time. But I was like, oh, but that was way back in the day. You
It
know,
surely doesn't exist anymore.
surely couldn't possibly be a thing now. Also, I always was so straight that I was like, I couldn't understand how any girl could not absolutely adore men. Like I couldn't understand
Yeah,
it.
you're the straightest person well, one of the straightest people I know, yeah. Maybe the straightest, actually.
To my detriment, which we'll talk about in a moment. But I thought it, and then like I knew about it kind of, but I was like, that happens in Hollywood because they're so depraved morally. Like, I just didn't know. Like, I was like, here's how I thought it happened. I was like, in Hollywood, they're so gorgeous, they're so rich, they have so much access to sex, but they get bored of it because it's just so normal, right? So then they want to experiment. But for like a little religious girl who's like saving herself for marriage, I'm like, well, surely it can't exist for the normal person.
So
I didn't understand. So like when people would say things about you, I was like, "Oh, you guys, Shifra is just artsy. She is creative. She's
super
going the flow.
artsy.
You cut your hair short. And I was like, trendsetter. She's like Audrey Hepburn. I love it. She's just, she doesn't care. Shifra never cares. Like, Shifra just does her own thing, and I love that about her. I love someone who thinks for herself.
That's
It
hilarious.
didn't even like
So you didn't even suspect anything?
nothing.
Because do you know when I found out?
When?
I was 7.
You were
I
7?
was 7.
So our whole friendship.
Yeah, but I didn't admit it. First of all, I didn't admit it to myself.
But you were like 7, so what does it even mean to a
Well, yeah, like
7-year-old?
okay, so it came when I came out to myself in stages. Like when I was 7, I realized I had an attraction. I didn't really know what it was. I just
Mhm.
had it, and it felt like I shouldn't. Um, and that's all I knew. And then when I was about 9, I learned what gay was, and I remember thinking to myself, like, "Oh shit, that's what I am." Like, and I was devastated.
Oh,
I was devastated. I'm like, "I do not want this."
because there's no room for it in the Orthodox
Exactly.
world,
Like,
especially back then.
yeah, and I didn't see it in anyone I knew. Like, I didn't know anyone that's gay, and
Because if anyone is, it's closeted, so no one's talking
yeah,
about it.
so I didn't tell anyone, obviously.
I feel like people are either closeted or they stop being religious.
Yeah.
There's no open conversations about it.
Well, now there's
Starting to?
starting to. Yeah, there's a few organizations that are for
Really? Good.
like religious gay people that are openly gay and like are with partners. Um,
It's a tough thing to navigate.
yeah, but back then I was like, I can't tell anyone. So,
No, you couldn't. Yeah.
I pretended to have crushes on men.
And I believed every single one of them. I was always like, oh my God, you like him? Oh my God, he's so
But I was
cute.
also like in love with several women, so I don't know how you didn't pick up
Okay,
on that.
because I know one person who you're talking about. We're not going to mention it, but I know one person you're talking about.
So like, how didn't you know?
Retroactively looking back, duh,
Oh,
duh. But like at the time, I was like, she just needed a mentor.
that's what I told myself too.
She's just kind of lost, like, like, yeah, it's a little much. Like,
Hmm.
like maybe literally talking about me being idealistic. Like, when I tell you I did not see it.
You might have been the only person. I
I
don't
really
know.
was. No one was shocked. No one.
No.
Except for me.
No.
Except for
No.
me. And then when you came out to me, I was such an asshole about
Oh
it.
my
The
God.
fact that you are like still friends with me is actually wild to
I
me.
mean, you were definitely coming from a place of ignorance. So like I knew that you were just like
I'm in shock.
saying that. Yeah, shock and ignorance. But can I say what you said?
Remember what I said too? Can I just say, you guys, I'm so sorry.
You're like, we had sleepovers. Did you ever look at me that way?
Because you just have to think about it, like
Yeah.
thinking
But a lot
back, I was
of
like,
people did that.
then I'm thinking back on every interaction that we ever had, and I'm looking at it differently because up
Yeah.
until this point, men were, I was about to say predators. Wow, that sounds
Some are.
so bad. But like men were the ones who like who we had sexual chemistry with, and like with our female friends, like that was our safe space. and then all of a sudden you
No.
telling me that you're a lesbian made me think, wait, was it not a safe space? Like, you were my best
Oh
friend.
no.
Like, it just made me rethink all our interactions, and I was so young and so inexperienced with
Yeah.
this concept of the gay community that
Yeah.
I didn't
Like,
know how to, like, comprehend it.
right. And then I remember what I told you after that. I was like, well, do you think every man is attractive? Like, are you attracted to every single
That was a
male you
good line.
know?
That was a
Um,
good line.
And that's what kind of got you to be like,
Oh.
yeah, okay."
I was like, "Okay, not your
Yeah.
type, fine.
Yeah.
Okay."
No, I'm like, we're friends.
Yeah.
We've always been friends. I've never seen you in any kind of way.
Yeah.
Like,
And that was like, but like I said, it still
yeah.
took me some time. Like, I think there was like a few months after that where I did not talk to you because like I didn't know how to process it,
I
to be
thought we
quite
weren't
frank.
talking because just that's just
No.
sometimes we
So
just
sorry.
yeah, I was living in a different city.
I mean, that was kind of part of it. It's not like we talked all the time anyways.
Right,
But
right.
like I just remember being like, "Oh my God, like is our friendship over? Like how do I move on from this?" Like
That's
there
funny.
was no comprehension of it.
I didn't even think about that conversation so much after we had it.
Really? Meanwhile, I'm like up at night just thinking about it, like,
Oh
"Oh
my
my
God.
God, my world has been shooken up."
That's crazy. My sister too, she was in shock, which I was surprised about because I thought she knew. And she like it took her some time to like come to terms that she had a gay sister, and I'm like, it's
Yeah.
not that big a deal.
Over
I
the
don't know.
years, it's something what I've come to realize is like other people's sexuality is absolutely none of my business.
Right.
And the thing about it
Unless it's someone
is,
you're trying to be with,
right,
then it's your business.
right, right. And it's just more of like I feel I still haven't found love yet. There was a few times where I thought maybe, well, I shouldn't say that. I found love in ways, but I haven't found like my person yet.
Right.
The man that I'm going to marry.
Yeah.
And so I know how difficult that is, and that's something I would love to find. And so when I see gay couples find that love, I have a hard time being able to look at them and be like, you should not do that. It's not love.
Right.
I'm a
They're just living
romantic.
their lives.
And it really is beautiful and they're so sweet
Yeah.
and like I just don't think that it's my business to say or do or think anything about it, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like
That's why I never understood like how people are true like there's truly homophobic people that hate gay people.
I
Um,
could give a few thoughts if you're curious.
oh, go on.
I think I have a few thoughts. One
Are they
is
jealous?
perhaps, perhaps like I think that some people are not confident in their own sexuality. And so they're like, if I'm associated with someone who is gay, by association, will I become gay?
You catch it.
Well,
I love that one.
these are thoughts in my head.
I
I was
love spreading my gay to people.
it's like a cold too. There's that. And then there's also like, I think they're afraid that of that, and then also they might be closeted themselves. So it's
Mm,
like you kind of
yeah.
make them really uncomfortable because they're going through this phase where for whatever reason they're trying not to acknowledge that side of them. And
I
so
have a story
you
about that.
openly doing it makes them feel real uncomfortable, you
Yeah.
know? Um,
Yes.
one of my other podcast guests, she said, this was a quote by Denzel Washington, that sometimes the light in you ignites the demons in others,
Yes.
and just by existing, you cause them so much anger. Also, happy people cause people who are unhappy so much anger.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
people
they're
don't
like,
like that.
who gives you the right to be so
And
happy?
also, I think everyone's, depending on what religion you are, whether you are Muslim or Jewish or Christian or any other religion out there, if you're part of a traditional religion that doesn't align with agreeing with the gay community, and if we're being real, even if they say they are, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not. And that's
Yeah,
why
I
it's
mean,
really, really challenging
it's in the
because
text.
It's in the text. And so it's really, really challenging because I don't know, it's a slippery slope. But I think in the end of the day, like I said, people's sexuality is their business. And I think we just have to love all people for who they are and treat people with kindness. And you're
Absolutely.
never going to inspire anyone to want to be anything to do with your religion if you treat them like they're garbage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and that's really the whole point of this podcast, right? Like a big thing that I've learned in my 20s is there is a difference between listening to internalize and listening to understand. You know, me listening to you and your story and your struggles doesn't mean that I'm going to have your story and your struggles and your
Wait, you mean I'm
challenges.
not gonna pass it along? What?
Yeah,
Okay.
but like I think it's just an opportunity to hear people from all walks of life and to create a space where we can just have a conversation because life is
Yes,
challenging and we're all just trying our best.
exactly. So that's why I'm like, why hate? Why do people hate people? It's just
I
it's
think
pointless. It's
there's some truly
it's
evil people, and those are the hatred comes from some truly evil people.
right.
I think majority of people, and I feel this since October 7th, I think there are some truly hateful people, but I think that there are some people who are just ignorant.
Yeah, I mean, also a lot of I would even argue to say that most hate is actually fear disguised as hate.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of it stems from fear. They fear the true nature of love and acceptance, and they fear all kinds of things. They fear what people think. They fear,
I
I don't
used to
know,
be more
themselves.
judgmental, not necessarily hateful, but more judgmental. And I'm not just talking about like the LGBTQ community. I'm talking about like anyone who is different than me in
I know.
any way. Well, you know,
I know.
so judgmental. And I think it actually now hindsight's 2020. It's because I was so deeply insecure
Yeah.
that like my way of finding any grounding was by like trying to get everyone on board with me. But actually, true confidence is when you're like, no, I know I'm straight and you're gay, and that's
Yeah.
totally
Like
fine.
you live your life, I'm gonna live mine.
So, can I just tell you a little insight that I had? Because I'm really excited about it.
Right.
I've been doing some assessing on why I think I'm still single. One of the reasons why I had a little aha moment is because I think men are so fabulous. And when I'm in a like committed relationship, I want to be loyal to my man.
hmm
And I love flirting so much that I'm just like, wait, so just one man for the rest of my life?
Ooh.
Right? And so I was like, even though I say I want to
But then
get
you flirt
married,
with that one man.
what?
But then you like would flirt with that one
And it's a more
man.
intimate and loving committed relationship, and there's
Yeah,
more depth to it. But I think I have that fear of that intimacy.
that could be.
And so it's easier to keep the light flirtation with like multiple types than to open myself up to one.
That could, I mean, that really could be because like in a way you've built up this idea of how it's going to be in your head
Mm-hmm.
and you may have overthought it.
Oh, I know I have. I overthink everything, and then the reality is it stop thinking.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know what I
just
mean?
let things
Let
happen.
things happen, and like that's like my
Mm.
whole thing. Like a big part of me growing up in my 20s was like learning to let go, learning to be more adaptable and go with the flow.
My dad said you would.
He did.
He did. Because he, listen,
Nice.
so he knows your mom.
Yeah.
Like they're old friends.
Yeah.
Um, and so really we go way back to before we were born.
Literally.
Like
This is
they
in the
were friends.
stars.
Yeah, so he knew you growing up because we were friends
Yeah.
um
This is wild to me.
and like I would sometimes tell him I'm like, she has these really like rigid ideas about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, just wait till she gets a little older. She'll chill out. You'll
Yeah.
see. And I'm like, Okay, because my dad, he's usually right about this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you
And
could tell your dad he was right.
he was,
I'm still chilling.
yeah, he sends regards, by the way.
Oh, hi.
Yeah. But he told me, he told me, and I'm like, yeah, I know.
But it's hard to wait. Like you're
Yeah,
dealing with it right there, and then
yeah,
you're like, "Oh, great! In 20 years, she'll be less rigid. Can't
yeah,
wait! Like, let me hold on till then."
yeah. But I knew we weren't gonna stop being friends. 'Cause,
No.
like, you weren't gonna do anything too crazy. I don't think I was.
Um, but I was thinking there's a I'm really into Kabbalah right now, so I'm really into energy and like law of attraction and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm,
And so a big part of it is like what's your intention behind why you do things. So there's a really fine line with being friendly and with being flirty. And so this past week,
mhm.
I have decided that I'm going to not be flirty and I'm just going to be warm and friendly. It may come off to other people as flirty still because when you're charismatic, it comes off that way.
I was gonna say like some people just read friendly as flirty too.
They do, but it's not about them. What it's
That's
about
true.
is me
Yeah,
and what's my intention.
yeah.
Because am I trying to grab energy from them? Am I trying to get something from this interaction? Am I trying to control the situation? Because that's the real issue here, me trying to control everything. Or am I just being like, you
What a
know,
glow up. That's wow.
that was one thought. And the other
Wow.
reason why I
That's a
think
big realization
it
to have
was
about yourself.
And I just had it now. Like
Just
literally
now?
this past week. Like this
Oh,
is
it's that's me.
brand new information. So there's that. And then the other one was also limiting beliefs in myself. Like thinking that maybe I don't deserve it because I built it up to be so big in my head that I think I have to be this like perfect person to deserve it.
So that one I'm surprised about.
I'm not.
I'm surprised because to me, at least the way that I see you is that you've always been very self-confident and like of course I deserve things and like you do. But like I've never
Heard
thought that
me.
you thought you wouldn't,
Oh no. I've been struggling with this for a long time. Not to blame my mother. Sorry, Ma, if you listen to this. But like when I was little, you know how stubborn I was.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't listen.
Mm-mm.
And there was only one threat that worked with me.
What was it?
If you act like this, no one's ever going to marry you.
No.
That was the only thing that worked. And then throwing on to that, going into high school and being like, I threw
No.
out all my Archie comics in seventh grade because I was like, no guy's ever going to want to marry me if I'm reading. I know, I love Archie comics. Do you remember how many? I had hundreds.
Bro, when we had sleepovers, after you'd go to bed, sometimes I'd just like go into that container where you had all of them, and I would just read the Archie comics because I love.
They were so great. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I would constantly go through. And like, I have to I'm very big on taking accountability. You can't blame people for the rest of your life. At a
Mhm.
certain point, as an adult, you have to take ownership of your story.
Sorry, I'm still processing the Archie comic thing. Give me a minute.
Oh, I know.
All right. No, okay. Taking responsibility.
I think it's important to take ownership for your actions yeah, maybe people influenced you when you were younger, but as an adult, you get to change the trajectory moving forward, and you're not a
Isn't
victim.
it great to be an adult?
Yeah, it's so great.
I love it. I love it.
It's so great. I'm still figuring a lot of it out. I thought I would have more of it figured out by being almost 30, but no,
No.
I'm still.
No, I don't think that's ever like really gonna happen though.
It's not. We ate by someone recently, and the couple who had us over, they were in their 40s, 50s, and
Mhm.
the husband was saying like, "Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out my life." And I said to him, I'm like, "I don't think the point is to figure it out.
Yeah.
I think the point is to just live it."
Yeah, because I mean, as every second goes by, the world gets more chaotic. That's entropy. And we're just here. We're just pushed into the world,
Yeah.
and we're just here, and we're just doing what we do, and then it ends eventually. So, like, whether or not you figure it out, or you feel like you figure it out, or you feel like you don't, like, it comes, it goes.
Yeah. It does, and it is what it is.
I love that.
It is what it
I love
is.
saying it is what it is because it really is like what it is.
Like, just to prove that point, so my name is Nechama, which is been told by so many non-Jews, a beautiful name. Thank you so much. You can't pronounce it, nor can you remember it.
Ooh, what are some pronunciations you
Oh
can
my God, it's
please share?
brutal.
Please.
I've gotten like Nechma, uh, Nehema, Nichma. It's brutal, man. It's brutal.
I work on the phones. I talk to a lot of people on the phone, so I have an ongoing list at work of what people have called me.
Your name is not that
I
complicated.
know it's Shifra, and there's not even the ch in my name.
Yeah.
I mean, in my middle name there is, but it's Shifra, and I've gotten like Safira. I've gotten Jeff. I don't know how.
What?
A lot, like a very common one is Jennifer.
Oh my God.
Like I don't know how Schiffer becomes Jennifer, but like maybe over the phone if I'm talking fast.
Maybe.
I've gotten Fifra like with an F instead of an
Interesting.
S.
People are wild.
No,
But so
it's
I've talked about this
entertaining.
before. I have a whole episode dedicated to talk about like my dad's dementia.
Hmm.
But as of this week, he no longer remembers my mom and my names, but he knows us.
Okay.
Yeah, and he lights up whenever he sees us.
Do you remind him of your names?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
because I'm an asshole and I just make him repeat it a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, that's
Yeah. But I was surprised at how less emotional I was about the fact that he couldn't remember my name. Like I thought, it sounds like it should be traumatic,
yeah, like
right?
that's your name.
But I was like, honestly, at this point in my life, I'm around so many non-Jewish people. I'm so used to people not remembering my name. I'm more surprised when people remember my name
Yeah,
than when they don't.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, a name. Okay, so yes, there is meaning to names, but a name is also just a series of sounds that people make to refer to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is.
Yeah,
And he knows you.
that's the
So,
most important part.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
yeah.
What,
But
what were we talking about before that?
we were talking about like your whole coming out story. I mean, there's so many layers to that.
Right. So yeah, so I told a lot of people that I was pansexual, and then um, I cut my hair short because I
Yeah,
wanted like to
stand
really
out.
come out and like signal to people that I was gay.
Yeah,
I also
hair has so
learned
much power.
it does. It does. I actually cut my own hair today. I learned
It
how
looks
to.
fresh.
Thanks.
You did good.
Um, but yes, I cut it really short. And I did actually grow it out one more time,
Oh, you did?
but with the intention to sell it because with my hair, like I knew I could get some money.
Well, I remember you and Hannah, this randomly just came back to me. You guys had really thick hair.
Yes.
So I remember you guys used to get headaches because you would wear ponytails because we had to.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know,
Yeah. Hannah got them way worse. She had like medicine
oh
for it.
yeah.
I got
When you
headaches, but it
pierce
wasn't.
this little part of your ear, it's supposed to help with those migraines and
Well,
stuff.
now you tell me.
Yeah, Hannah got those pierced and they don't hurt as
Well, I don't get headaches now that my hair's short.
well, yeah, so that's another
Um,
pro benefit of it.
yeah, I did get it when I was growing it out that one last time, but I don't think I'm ever gonna do it again.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm starting to get gray hairs. That
Mm.
runs in my family.
Well, it
And
runs in everyone's family.
well, yeah,
We
but
all get it
like
eventually.
it runs in my family that we get them pretty early on.
Do you think you would dye your hair or would you kind of just let
Mm,
it go
I
natural?
could let it go natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that look. Just kind of graying. I don't know, I like it.
Yeah. It's kind of like I would never get Botox. I shouldn't say never because then, of course, I always end up doing whatever I say I'm never going to do. But like, I just want to see what I look like to age naturally.
Yeah.
I just want to see what I look like old, not like not overnight, like let it be a natural
Yeah.
progression.
I think
But
people are beautiful as is.
and you know what? I think what I've noticed is that not everyone, and it depends on how much you get, but with the Botox and the fillers, at a certain point, you lose your unique features
Mhm.
and everyone starts looking the same. So that's not cool to me. And the other thing is that I'm scared. I'm scared of what's in that stuff. Like that, it's scary.
I don't even know. I don't know what it is,
It
what it
can't be
even
good for you. It can't
does.
be good for you.
I don't think it is.
And the other thing is that I think people are trying to retain their youth in addition to improving certain features, but they're trying to retain their youth. And I think youth is so much more than just clear skin and smooth skin. I think it's an energy thing. And so the problem I
Mhm.
think is what looks part of to me what looks so unnatural. I'm not even talking about the fact they can't move their faces. I'm not talking about that. Because nowadays some of them are really good and they can make expressions and whatever.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the fact that like they look young, but they're not young because they don't have that energy. So there's something off, but you can't put your finger on it. Does that make
It
sense?
does. It really does.
Because
But
they
it
don't have that innocence.
yeah, but it's also a very like sad thing because people are afraid to like look older. But there's nothing wrong with just being older.
Yeah.
Like old people are the best. So why is it so demonized that
I
you
think
pay all this money
it's
and do all
hard to
these things to yourself?
transition from youth to being old. And that
Yeah,
in between stage is scary. I think maybe your own mortality.
but you know it's coming.
We all know it's coming, but it's like it's coming, but still the realization of it is
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I don't know people's reasons
I'm sure there's so
for
many.
doing what they do.
There's so many.
Yeah.
I mean, I know someone who gets it just because they feel like they have a resting bitch face. So they wanted to help their face look more friendly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I don't know if I really noticed a difference. Not
Wow.
what I mean to say is that I never thought they looked like a bitch before. Does that make sense? Like I think
No, you're like, they still look like a bitch. Like, I don't know.
I realized when it left my mouth like how bad it actually sounded.
Yeah,
But
that's funny. Mm.
I have no filter. I'm so
That is
unhinged.
that was funny though. Like you're like, you still look like a bitch to me. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
All my money was for shit.
Not yet. I mean, some people like have a certain perception of themselves that no one else has. So,
Can I tell you, I went off of Instagram for a whole year before this podcast became a thing. The only reason why I went back on social was to promote my podcast. But then, of
mhm.
course, it sucked me back in, and now I'm using it as like a consumer.
Yeah.
Um, but back in the reason how it started was I really felt like it was affecting me in a lot of ways, like poor sleep, poor habits, bad for my self-esteem. It was a challenge from my coach at the time. I had a life coach for like 2 years, and he challenged me to be off it for 1 week.
It's hard.
And then I did it for 1 week, but you know me, I was like, what if I could do it for 2 weeks?
Oh, of course you would.
And then like it started getting easy. It was hard, but it started getting easier.
Uh-huh.
And then something wild that happened to me during that year is my perception of beauty changed.
Really?
Really.
How so?
I stopped filtering my photos. I look back at old photos that Google saved before I was able to put the face thing on it. And I look at me and I'm like, I was so cute and I was so pretty. Like, why did I feel the need to do that to myself? I used to love watching makeup tutorials and I would look at people in the wilds, is what I call the real
In
world,
the
in the
wild.
wilds.
The
And I would
feral
be like,
people.
I was like, why doesn't everyone just wear like a full face of makeup? Like, don't they know they'll just look better?
So,
But now I actually really appreciate people's natural beauty. Do I still wear makeup? Yes. I'm not like not all or none,
yeah.
but it's you see me,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I'm enhancing my features. My goal when you look at me is that you see me and you think, "Oh, you look beautiful," not, "Oh, I like the way your makeup looks."
Right.
You
I hear
know?
that. Yeah.
I was at the gym once back in the day when I wore a full face of makeup, and I still wear a full face of makeup to the gym sometimes because I'm too lazy to take it off. It's whole thing.
All right.
But that's different than not being able to not go because I'm insecure.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Very different. And I used to go with
hugely
like a
different.
dramatic face and makeup to the gym. And
To the
I
gym, but
to the
doesn't the
gym.
sweat like
Girl, I figured it out. I figured it out.
all right? What?
I just didn't work out hard enough to sweat. No, I
Smart.
know. Oh, it's so hard.
I don't know. I haven't worn makeup in a long time, so I don't know.
I wore bright red lipstick once. I was in a season of my life and I was really into bright red lipstick.
Hmm.
I wore bright red lipstick and the front guy, Izzy, shout out to you, Izzy.
Shout out to Izzy.
I don't think he's watching this, but if he ever does, you never know. He was like, "Damn, girl, your lips are brighter than my future."
Man.
And like, I think he meant it as a compliment,
Okay, but his future though.
but at the same time, I was like, maybe it's tone down the makeup just a
Do you
little
think he
bit.
had a bright future or no?
Ooh, that's so mean.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. It's
Uh,
hard to know. It's hard to know.
well, because you can't tell time and
Right. He was the coolest person ever. I feel like there's so many people as a barista, I feel this now, but there's so many people who work in jobs that we see throughout the day that we don't really pay so much attention to. And it's
Mhm.
unfortunate because there's so many like it could be their whole job, but this could be part of a whole bigger story that you don't even know about, you know? Cashiers, um, at whatever store you go to, baristas, the greeters and concierges, like all these people, right? And some of those people you could tell hate their life and are there doing the bare bones minimum, you
Mhm.
know? They're just like, next, do
Yeah.
it, whatever, like lifeless. And unfortunately you really don't notice them as human beings kind of because of that.
Yeah.
But every so often you meet someone in those jobs who's so full of life. And that was Izzy.
Yeah, and you can't help but to like notice like their life is something. I mean, I tried to be as friendly as possible when I was a cashier. And I got to know a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think that a lot of my customers, um,
Remember you?
they went through my lanes knowing that I wasn't just someone
I would
checking out their
sometimes choose
groceries.
certain aisles of cashiers specifically because I know they're friendlier and they're nicer and we have
Yeah.
like rapport, you know, and
Yeah, and like you get
I'll
to know
wait in
them.
line sometimes just to see my favorite cashier.
Exactly. And it's good for business to be a friendly cashier.
Oh, with the barista thing too, like that's the other thing. Like, I mean, obviously becoming a barista was a whole learning curve. I never worked in the food industry before, so it was
Hmm.
very overwhelming. And coming from working at 8 hours at a desk job to standing and being around people for 8 hours,
That's a huge energy shift.
huge energy shift. Also, the hours is a huge energy shift
Yeah.
because I get there at 6:30. We open at 7 in the
What time do
morning.
you wake up?
5, 4:35.
Sometimes I don't go to bed until 5, like
You always were a night owl.
I still am.
Yeah, I figured that wouldn't change. I'm naturally a night owl, but I do enjoy getting up early in the morning, so I take melatonin to drug myself to go to sleep.
You're a night owl?
Yeah,
But you're always on time for school.
yeah, I didn't sleep.
The whole time?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
I don't know how I'm still here. I probably will die young because I haven't slept, to
Have
be
you
quite
slept since
honest.
then?
No.
Oh my God.
And it's hard to catch up with me.
Oh no.
But I learned a little trick if you put Vaseline underneath your eyes, you don't look as tired. But I'm getting older, so I don't think that trick's working anymore. I think I just look tired.
I mean, when you don't sleep at all, then you're just tired no matter what you look like. So,
Yeah,
uh,
I just have so much I just love life and I love all the people who I meet. And the thing I love about being a barista is I'm making so much less than I've ever made in my corporate life, but my soul is so happy. And I just love being around people. Like I can't believe I get
I
paid to
was
just
gonna say, like,
talk to
you're a
people.
very social person. So, like,
Yeah.
your what's it called? Your social battery must be like, wow.
It really is. And like I would come home from my office job and I've had different ones. And like my mom was so worried about me because I would come home from work and I would be on the couch and I'd be vegging for hours. Like she thought I was depressed. I might have been. And I was just
It
so
could be.
lonely and so sad.
Being depressed is not always like wanting to die. It's sometimes just losing that.
just having no
Sparkle.
sparkle.
Yeah.
Speaking of sparkle, this is ADD moment. You know how people will say that they have triggers
Yeah.
and like certain things will cause them to feel anxiety, doubt, worry, or fear?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I just learned on Instagram that there is something called glimmers.
What's that?
Glimmers are pockets of joy that happen throughout the day that just make you feel alive again.
I love that.
Isn't
It's the
it so
opposite
cute?
trigger.
So it's like everyone should be on the lookout for glimmers.
That's what happens every time I see a mushroom outside. My whole day brightens.
I have to talk to you about this whole mushroom obsession because it's been like your whole 20s at least.
Not my whole 20s, but a lot of my
So how did
20s.
that even start?
So
And by the
that's
way, when we say mushrooms, are we just being like, oh, I like mushrooms, or we're like shrooms, or a little bit of both?
all of it.
All of it.
All of it. The
Okay.
whole entire fungal kingdom.
Yeah.
Because fungi, they're not a plant, they're not an animal, they're their own kingdom. Um, the way this started was when I met my girlfriend. She was a vegan, and so I wanted to cook for her because I like to cook for people.
Yeah.
But I mostly knew how to cook meat, so I was trying to figure out how to make fake meat. So I got a cookbook that one of the ingredients that you needed was porcini powder.
Hmm.
Porcini is a kind of mushroom that is very savory, so it would have added a lot to this dish. So I'm like, okay, I'll get porcini powder, whatever. I looked online, it was like $1 million for a
Hmm.
tiny bag.
Yeah, I
I'm
bet.
like, this is insane. I'm not doing this. What else can I use? And it was at that time that I realized that porcini must have a different flavor than button mushrooms or portobellos, which are actually the same kind of mushroom. And creminis are also the same kind of mushroom, so all of those are just they taste the same. Um, so that kind of led me down a rabbit hole of what mushrooms were edible. Then I realized that they grow outside everywhere,
They do.
everywhere, and you can pick them and eat them, and they're free, and you don't have to pay $1 million for a little bag.
Hmm.
So I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, I'm gonna go out and find mushrooms. But I was scared because there's poisonous mushrooms that can kill you.
Oh,
So
wow.
then I'm like, okay, fine. I have to learn as much as I can about mushrooms so I can pick all the ones I know that are edible
Mm-hmm.
and avoid the ones that are gonna kill me. I don't want that.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
fair.
so I just started learning about it, and that's when I discovered like I love it. I love everything about mushrooms, and everything I learned was just fascinating. I learned that there's different kinds of mushrooms that can heal certain things
Oh, I
or
believe it.
help with your immune system. Like lion's mane mushroom helps with memory,
Yeah.
and I tried it and it did.
Have you did the shroom coffee? Or
Uh,
not shroom coffee, the
Um,
mushroom coffee?
not like the pre-made
Yeah, because
ones.
you're more of a forging your own,
Um,
right?
but I've tried I've foraged 14 different at least 14 different kinds of
That's
mushrooms.
so cool.
Some of them I ate, some of them I made tinctures. Like there's one called turkey tail that it's kind of like a papery texture. So, but it has medicinal properties. It helps with your immune system and different stuff. It's said to help prevent cancer too.
Oh, wow.
And some of the studies are like they're still happening, so they're not proven, but people have been using them for centuries, especially the Chinese.
Well, then you know.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, so there's something there.
For sure.
And then a friend of mine suggested growing like shrooms.
Yeah.
So I did, and I tried that, and that was
A trip and a half.
it was a trip, and it was several trips, and it was life changing.
Have you ever gone through a guided trip?
No,
You know what I'm talking about? Not with shrooms particularly, but like,
guided like by another person.
yeah, they're like retreats where you go on
Nope.
these like, no.
No, no. For me, I don't think that would be beneficial.
Okay.
Because my trips were always like self guided, and those were the most healing.
Yeah.
I used to take
I feel like 'cause we all know our
antidepressants.
own answers, you know?
Exactly, and I knew that going in. I'm like, this is a like a journey of the self. Um, and they really like the shrooms or God or myself, my own intuition, something was guiding me.
Yeah,
Um, I used to have to take antidepressants because I would get
I remember.
horrible depression. And it was kind of better sometimes, kind of worse sometimes. But after I took shrooms, like I've never gotten
Really?
really bad since then.
That's amazing.
So I
I'm
think they
really happy
cured
for
that.
you.
I think they cured that.
That's
Like
amazing.
no joke. And I really I need them to be legalized. I
Yeah.
need them to be studied more. I need them to be able to help as many people as possible because the cures for ailments are out there.
Oh, yeah, and
They're
it's
out
all
there.
natural. Doesn't have to be complicated.
Exactly. And it's just it's so sad to me that someone decided that they shouldn't be legal for what? Like for what reason? But I think the reason that they became illegal in the first place was because they were lumping a bunch of different drugs together and some of them are really bad for you. Um, but it never made sense that
Yeah.
alcohol would be legal and mushrooms wouldn't be.
I think it's the fear of the unknown.
It is, and that's why, slowly but surely, like some places are allowing people to study them. So at least there's that.
There's hope.
There's hope.
You should think about like joining something like that because
There's
you're
hope.
so passionate about
I
it.
know. I tried to, well, not with shrooms, like psilocybin, but there was a woman in Pittsburgh who had like a gourmet mushroom business, and I applied to work for her because she
Oh,
needed
wow.
someone, but she did not end up picking me,
Mm,
which actually worked out in the end because the transportation I had at the time was not reliable.
right.
Um,
Good
eh,
for you for trying
yeah,
though.
yeah, but I did grow my own like oyster mushrooms, lion's
That's
mane.
amazing.
But most of the mushrooms I found out in the woods. Like I'd go out every weekend, especially after it rained, and just find all these mushrooms.
This doesn't surprise me at all because you were always such a tomboy growing up. Like you were
Yes.
always like a little monkey too, like climbing trees and
Yeah.
somersaulting and stuff. And like I remember, so I mentioned this before, I was bullied when I was little, and like Shifra was always my friend, like throughout it all. Even though it wasn't cool to be friends with me, you never
It
gave
wasn't cool to
in.
be friends with me either.
Yeah, I guess that's why we are friends now. Like you never give in to the peer pressure. And
Mhm.
like I have like I said, I have like very vivid memories of like specific things. And I remember one time in third grade, there was this little tree in the corner of Tower Prep, which is now Costco. Can you believe it?
I know. I went to the parking lot and I saw it, and
Wild. Our school's gone. The big fields in the back.
you say our school's a Costco, but really it's the parking lot. I,
Yeah,
I I looked at it geographically.
it's the parking
I
lot.
think it was the parking lot. I
It's
think
so it's
the
hard to
I
know.
think the school was where the field was, or the Costco's where the field was.
Regardless, there was this huge fields in our school, and there was this big tree in the back. And I was a chunkier kid and not very athletic, and these hands are always just too soft to get a grip. I still can't open things. Um,
You never did have grippy hands, did you?
no,
Now that I think about it.
my mom makes so much fun of me because I'm like, she's like, you go to the gym like 5 to 6 days a week and you still can't open anything. I'm like, my husband's gonna love me so much. He's gonna feel like such a man. But I there was a tree that I couldn't climb, and all the girls were climbing it, and I couldn't get up there, and everyone was making fun of me.
They were
And
making fun of you?
yeah,
I don't remember that
because I
part.
couldn't climb, and it was like a combination of being too chubby and not having grippy hands, and
Oh,
it just wasn't working out for me. And you looked at them and you were just like, put your little hands on your hips, and you're like, well, you guys are just a bunch of dumb monkeys. And then you did like three somersaults and walked away.
I did
You
that.
did that.
How old were we?
We were like 8 or 9.
Oh my god.
And see, like those are the kinds of things that like you may not remember, but like
I
left such
don't.
an impression on me because you made me feel so special.
Oh. I'm glad I did that.
You
But I
stood up
also
for me.
offered to teach you how to climb trees.
Yeah, we did. Remember Botanical Gardens? Do you remember?
We have those
We
pictures.
do.
We
I
have
was
those
like 10 years old.
pictures.
This was like fourth grade. This is a year later. And I climbed my first tree. One and only time I climbed a tree. To be fair, there was a lot of hoisting from you and my dad. We got up there. We did it.
Oh my
And I
God.
remember the feeling. I totally forgot about that till just now, but like I remember feeling so proud. I'm like, "I climbed a tree. I am a child for real."
I have
It's a
childhood
big part of being a
stories.
child is like climbing a tree.
I mean, I guess so, but not all children
It's a
have
rite of
that.
passage, I think.
Um, I mean, it was a huge part of my childhood. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
Like I'd climb those trees, in Kaufman Park. There's like
Yeah.
these really tall pine trees I used to climb
You would scale
all
those
the way up.
trees. You climbing is not the right word. You would scale those trees. It's like Shifra, who? You see a little rustling. Shifra must be out there.
Bye.
There was that, but also like I was creative, but I was also competitive more than anything else. Hard worker. May not be the most talented person in the room, but I'm the hardest working in the room. That much I can tell you. Shifra's insanely artistically talented.
I wouldn't go that far.
You are. You are. You may not have touched it in a minute, but the lengths that I took to get better than this girl, like I worked so hard
You
to
became a graphic designer.
I know, and I hate it. Well, to be fair, I don't hate graphic design. I've worked with a lot of people who have burnt me out
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're not getting to create your own stuff.
Yeah.
And so by the time you get to the final design, sometimes you don't even want to put your name on it because you're like, this doesn't even like reflect what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
And then if you can't get your client happy, then it's just they're so hard on you. And
I feel like a lot of that too is like you're working with the abstract,
yeah.
and that to me, like that can be exhausting.
It is exhausting, but also what people don't talk about with graphic design is like you hear it and they're like, oh, you must be so creative. And it's like there's elements of graphic design that are creative. There's moments when my job was creative and that was fun.
Mhm.
But if you're working in a corporate environment from 9 to 5 for 8 hours, 5 days a week,
Mhm.
you are not being creative 8 hours, 5 days a week. First of all, as a
Mm-mm.
creative, you can't just be creative whenever you need to be,
Right. It doesn't come with an on-off switch.
which is what's hard about those environments as well. But in addition to that, a lot of it is once those brand standards have been created, all I do is I take the content and I put it into these templates and these standards. So I'm literally just moving boxes around and adjusting text to be a certain format.
That sounds tedious.
It's tedious, it's attention to detail. And as someone who has ADD and as someone who has ADHD, I'm sure you
Yeah,
can understand.
of course I do.
I didn't see that I wasn't getting it right. So then, of course, they're noticing that I'm missing all these details, or if I'm spelling things wrong and I'm looking at it and I'm like, looks good to me. No, literally, no one's gonna notice. Everyone's gonna notice. And it's just, I'm meant to be in a job where I can just talk to people all day.
Yeah.
Graphic design is something that will be very helpful for me and my brand,
Yeah.
and I could do it in my way, but I won't need to be as nitpicky as this.
Yeah.
Um, and my business partner is a Virgo, so he's very nitpicky.
I don't know if that's a Virgo thing.
It is a Virgo
Is it a
thing.
Virgo thing?
Yeah.
Because I know some Virgos who are just not like that.
Depends what it is. They're not necessarily nitpicky with, they can go either extreme.
All right.
Regardless, regardless, it's a good match. But I had a family friend when I was explaining our dynamic of our different energies. I was like, "Well, I'm a bull in a china shop," and he's like, "Let me guess, he's the china." I was
Oh
like,
no.
"Kinda."
Oh no.
Um,
Wait, what's your sign again? You're Aries, right?
mhm. And you're a Taurus.
I am, but I don't know if I believe in all that stuff.
Well, can I tell you what
Like
I
the
believe in it?
personality aspects.
Well, first of all, there's so much that affects your personality. Forget your
Yeah.
star signs and whatever. But there's your sun, moon, and rising.
I don't even know what that is.
So it's like where all those things were placed. Like astrologically where everything was placed.
What's a rising though?
Like the moon rising, like where the moon was.
Wait, so when you say the sun, the moon, and the rising, what's
Like
like
your full
the difference between
signs.
the moon and the moon rising?
So I have to look it up, but there's details and nuances. So you're not like just your typical Aries, let's say. Like I'm an Aries
Okay.
sun, a Libra moon, and a Gemini rising. It's a lot of energy right there.
You also have life experiences that kind of.
Right. And I think for me, what I like, I'm not a horoscope girly. I don't decide my day by my horoscopes,
Mhm.
but I like to kind of learn about each person because it gives me a starting point.
That's fair.
We could definitely continue this, but I do want to kind of wrap up this episode. We've talked about so many different
I
topics.
know. Well, we both have ADHD. Well, okay, so here it is. It's ADHD.
Uh-huh.
They changed it.
Oh.
It's ADHD, inattentive, and hyperactive, and combined.
Hmm.
So you may have the inattentive kind. I think I'm combined. We'll just have an inkling.
I have a little bit of hyperactive, but it just depends. Because if I'm hyper focused, then I'm fine. But if I'm not hyper focused, forget it. I've literally be mid conversation. We'll be having a conversation like this, and I'll just be like, "What?
Me
Were we
too.
talking?"
Me too.
And then it's like "Ooh, squirrel."
That's how it goes. The story of my life.
Oh, it keeps it fresh, keeps it fun.
Yeah.
But I do have this tradition, and I forgot if I warned you about it or not. So if I didn't,
I've heard some of your episodes. I've been warned.
you've been warned.
I've been warned.
Now's the time.
I just
I'll start with my little intro to give you a moment to think. But it's based on this quote, which is Ezehu Chacham, Hello made me call Adam, which means one who is wise is one who learns from everyone. We've definitely learned a lot from you, and I really appreciate you opening up so much. And I know there's so much more to your story. We've literally just brushed the surface. But if you could share either a life lesson or a quote.
my quote is be gay, do crime.
Did you say be gay, do crime?
Be gay, do crime. Preferably a nonviolent crime like trespassing. That's my favorite crime.
Okay, so kind of living on the edge, being true to who you are. I love it.
Yep. Yep. Be true to who you are and don't let anyone else define you. That's not the way. It's not it.
And it takes time. It takes time to get to that place, but when you do,
Yeah.
you will feel so much sense of relief
Mm-hmm.
about life.
Yes.
And if you are gay and you have someone like me in your life, I'm so sorry.
But they'll come around.
Come around. I mean, you just if you're different than how your community is, like you just have to give people a second to like process and to come to terms with it. And
Exactly.
people sometimes will say things out of ignorance, but as long as you know their heart, just have faith and give them a little time.
Yeah. And if they don't come around, then that's their loss.
That's not meant for you.
All right.
Enjoy the completion, complete their time in your life, but they don't have to be there forever.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Well, you guys know the drill. If you are not already watching the video, you can find it on Spotify or YouTube. And as always, if this was meaningful for you, please share with a friend and give it a like and subscribe if you are not already. What are you doing with your life? We're on episode 27 at this point.
I know, I'm subscribed.
Yeah, you
On
should be.
Spotify. I think on YouTube too.
Do it on YouTube, please, if you are not. Like, even if you're watching this or listening to this somewhere else, like, I'm trying to get monetized and I need 500 subscribers, and I currently have 78. So
Let's make it happen.
let's make it happen.
Let's
Share
make
with a
it
friend.
happen.
Let's
Yes.
go. Okay.
Yes. Thank you for
Well,
having me on.
yeah, seriously, thank you.
I was coming to St. Louis. I really wanted to see you. I wasn't expecting being on a podcast.
This
I've
is
never
like my
been on
newest
one.
thing. Can I
I
tell you
love it.
why? Because even though it'd be so great to make money from this, this is a passion project for me.
Yes.
And I know how fleeting our relationships are. And if you think about a relationship, you have so many great conversations throughout a friendship, throughout a romantic relationship. And like, this is a little time capsule. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I
Let's
wish I
come
could have
back
done this
here.
with so many other people who aren't here anymore. But
Yeah.
that's why every opportunity that I get with someone who's special to me, I'm like, let's record a podcast. Let's go. You
Yeah.
just never know.
It's better than a picture.
It is better than a picture. Ah, well, you guys, you got some insight into one of my longest friendships. Thank you so much for being friends with me for so long and putting up with me.
Oh, you mean thank you. Thank you for being friends with me too. Like
Yeah, but
it's been a ride.
it's been a journey
Yeah.
for sure.
We had fun.
To 21 more years.
Longer. What are you
Longer.
talking about?
I know, but 21 more years.
Yeah.
I'm
Come
beyond. To
on now.
infinity and beyond.
Let's just go for life. Like,
For life.
yeah,
For lifers.
because we're gonna be 100 years old.
Too, because I had a post-corona crisis.
So let's do it.
Ah, I love it. I'm so here for it. I
It's
can't
like
wait to see what life will bring us.
it's like 71 more years for me.
Okay.
So
Instead of going to a nursing home, can we just like take our wheelchairs and roll down a hill?
yeah,
Cool.
let's do that.
All right. On that note, thank you guys so much for listening or watching or both. I hope you have a great week. Let's get it. Let's go.